All right, so your goal today is to kind of simplify the notes that you've taken all unit into one chart, front and back, that you can use. It might be a better reference for you if you don't have all your pages filled out before the day of the test. So this chart will have all the information you need on it. You can write as much down or as little as you want. So today you're learning to distinguish between the complement, mutually exclusive, non-mutually exclusive events, independent and dependent events in order to decide what formula to use. So this unit has a lot of different formulas and you have to make sure you're aware of what is what. So what I'll do is I'll put the definitions down. You can write as much as you want. I would at least get the key words. So we'll start with complement. The probability that an event does not occur is called the complement. Your key word is not. Okay? It will say that in the actual problem. Mutually exclusive is when two events cannot occur at the same time. So rolling a 2 and a 3 would be mutually exclusive because you can't roll two numbers in one roll. Not mutually exclusive would be if it's possible for events A and B to occur at the same time. So that would be rolling a 4 and an even number. And then independent events are the occurrence of event B does not affect the occurrence of event B. And I should actually change this, the current occurrence of event A. So that's when you might put the card back into the pile. Or, flipping a heads does not affect only your second flick of what you're going to get. And dependent, oh crap, I switched these. Independent is when it does not have an effect. Dependent is when it does have an effect. So please, please, please make sure you make that change. Sorry if you wrote in pen. Shame on you though, you should be writing in pencil. Okay, so again, independent does not affect. So that would be if you are putting the cards back in. Dependent does affect. Okay? So if you go back to the warm-up, you should be able to label. Number 1 was a complement problem. Drawing an ace or a king. Those cannot happen at the same time, so that would be mutually exclusive. And then drawing a club or a picture card. That can happen at the same time, so that's non-mutually exclusive. And then drawing a card from a 52 deck, then the card is replaced and shuffled back into the deck. So because it's replaced, that means it's independent. And then in the next one, the card is not replaced, which means it's dependent. Okay? Alright, so now you're going to get an example of each. If you remember, the complement, the key word was not. So finding the probability of not rolling a 6. Then mutually exclusive is two events that cannot happen at the same time. So getting a king and a red card or getting a king and a king. So you can't get two kings at one time. So this could be getting a king and a king and a jack. But you can't get two kings at one time either. Not mutually exclusive, getting a king and a red card, because you can be a red king, a king of hearts or a king of diamonds. Now independent is when you replace the card, and dependent is when you don't replace the card. Okay, so now your formulas. Your formula for complement would be 1 minus P of E. Okay. Your formula for mutually exclusive would just be P of probability of A plus the probability of B. Not mutually exclusive. A plus B, and then remember you have to take away the overlap. Independent would just be P of A times P of B, so make sure you maybe make a note that that's multiply. And then dependent, probability of A times the probability of B given that A has occurred. So you have to assume you picked what you needed. Alright, so now the fundamental counting principle is Again, you can write as much as you want. So this is when you have M possible outcomes or N possible outcomes. So a lot of times it's the main courses and the appetizers, or in the example you have the multiple choice test where you have 5 questions. So I'll answer this one. You would do 5 little lines, okay, and it says you have 3 answer choices. So the formula says M times N, so however many numbers you have, oops, you don't want to think that's a subtraction sign, is you would multiply, oh gosh, again, you would multiply. So just please keep in mind that's not a multiplication, or that's not a subtraction sign. So that would be 243, and you guys are getting really good on labeling, so it's always nice to label. Okay. All right, so permutations are an ordered arrangement of items. No items used more than once, and this is specific spots places have to go, rankings. A lot of these are the president, vice president, secretary type problems. So I put this as a permutation because a lot of you guys don't really figure it out. So since they have 3 specific roles they have to go to, it's a permutation. N is always the total, and it's always the bigger number, and R is the number needed. Okay, so you have 8 total actors, permutation of 3, because there's 3 roles, and you would just key this in on your calculator, and you would get 336 ways. And combinations are items selected from the same group, none are used more than once. Your keywords are committees and groups. So here you have a 3-person committee is needed. How many committees can be formed? I have a couple typos. Can be formed from 8 people. So right away, you should notice that that P right there should be a C. Okay. So N is the total number of people again. So in this case, it's 8. Choose 3, and you'll see the difference that if you use the wrong one, you get different answers. So 8, math, 3, okay, so 56. All right, so hopefully that can kind of put all the information from the unit in one spot. You need to complete your review day classwork. Make sure all the pages in your packet are done, and that's the only thing you can use on your test. And then if you're done that, you can complete your makeup work. Please refer to the binder at the front of the table. Edline was updated on Friday, so it has the most up-to-date information. But again, if you don't turn your review day classwork in, it'll go in as a 0. Okay, so please, please, please make sure you get your assignments done and submit it. Half done is better than not done at all.